Hey, in this video, I'm going to show you how to use AI to write unbelievably good copy that sounds exactly like you, even better, and your copy will sell, even if you're terrible at writing copy. But before I show you that, I want to show you two copywriting secrets that have personally made me millions of dollars. If we have never met, I'm really not important. My name's Frank Kern. I've been selling things online since 1999, and I've sold over $50 million worth of my own stuff. Now, let me share these two secrets with you, and then we'll get to writing some copy with AI. Let's go. Years ago, and this is really important, somewhere around 2006, I was like in trouble. These dudes had given me some money to write a product launch for them, and it was the day before the product launch, and the sales letter was not that great, and I was totally freaking out, and I just so happened to be at a conference where probably, arguably, one of the greatest copywriters alive was also in attendance. And the dude's name is John Carlton. So I went to John and I was like, dude, I got to have this sales letter ready. And I don't think it's very good. And he's like, when do you have to have it ready by? He kind of talks like that, but not really. And I was like 9 tomorrow morning. And he's like, okay, here's all you got to do. And he gave me this like sales copy formula that I'm going to share with you. There's 3 steps. Step number 1 is you just say, here's what I got. So I'll just put WG here. All right. You just tell them the thing that you have. Step 2 is you say, here's what it'll do for you. All right. And this is where you tell them, that looks like it says way there, but that's WDY. Anyway, this is where you tell your reader the benefits of the thing that you're selling. Not talk about you, not talk about your, credentials or anything. Like, here's what this thing will do for you. And then this is like the super important one I've learned over time is here's what I want you to do next. And this is where you like tell them to order. And instead of following like all these complicated sales letter strategies and formulas, if you just kind of stick to these 3 main things, regardless of whether or not you use AI, you're going to do pretty good, okay? So let's write a sales letter right now. We're going to use a tool. Shocking. I know. I own this tool. This is like an infomercial for this AI tool. It's called Ojoy.ai. Ojoy.ai. There's a tool in here called Project Shepherd. And what makes this thing different is that, you know how you know stuff about your product and your service or maybe your client's stuff, but it's not really arranged right and you have ideas floating around in your head and you don't really know how to get them, metaphorically speaking, on paper. This thing will talk to you and it'll extract all of the important stuff about your offer and everything from you, and then it'll write the damn sales letter for you. It's great. It's like having a ghostwriter and a professional copywriter working together, so all you have to do is answer questions and talk. It rules. However, here's another little secret I want to give you. All right? Wrong thing. There we go. This. So here is the deal, all right? You've probably used stuff like ChatGPT or Jasper or whatever, and here's what most people do. They're like, write me a sales letter that sounds like, Gary Halbert or whatever that sells my dog training thing, and it'll write some stuff, and it's like, ew, it doesn't sound good. Here's what to do instead, okay? Number 1, follow this formula. Get a rough draft written. So step 1 is like, get a rough draft written. And make sure that the rough draft of your sales letter has like the basic fundamentals in there. That here's what I got, here's what it'll do for you, here's what I want you to do next. Maybe have a guarantee in there. Maybe talk about the benefits, all right? So we're just going to put fun for step 2 because I'm trying to write with my mouse here on this thing and it's hard, okay? So get a rough draft, make sure it's got the fundamentals in there, and make sure that it just covers what you want to cover, like the basics, like all the basic stuff about whatever it is you're selling. Man, it's really hard to write with a mouse like this. All right, and then let it write the rough draft. Now, step 4 is expect the rough draft to just suck in terms of how it sounds. It'll sound like not as cool as the way you would normally write it or whatever. This is where the magic happens. In step 4, you let AI rewrite it. All right, so this is a big deal. You let AI rewrite the rough draft. So it's kind of like if we were building a house, the way most people are doing it with AI, metaphorically, is they're trying to paint the house and put all the furniture and stuff in there and arrange everything before the walls are even up. All right, so what we're doing is we're doing logical stuff, which is like, okay, we're going to build the house first and then we'll paint it and then we'll put the furniture in there because that kind of makes more sense. Anyway, these are 2 big secrets that will help you make a lot more money. So the tool we're going to use inside of Ojoy.ai is one called Project Shepherd. And this is the thing that's like a ghostwriter and a professional copywriter combined. And it's really awesome because we don't have to type. We can just talk and say, I need help writing a long-form direct response sales letter that sells my AI software that helps people write better copy. Okay, you can type, but I just don't want to. And what this thing's going to do, and I'm not going to make you watch me answer all of the questions, is it'll actually like gather all the information about what I'm selling from me by asking me all of these questions. So I'll answer a couple of them, but I'll probably do it like, I'll edit this so it'll go faster so it won't be too boring for you. The first question is super important. Yeah, this is a software for people who want to write marketing copy, emails, social media posts, lead magnets, really anything marketing related that helps people do that. And what makes it unique is that they don't have to type anything. They can just talk to it like a normal person, and it somehow translates what they're saying into like smart computer person language and is able to make the AI do what they want them to do without having to do any kind of prompts or anything. So that's what makes it really cool. And it can also be trained to write exactly like them, and it can read through like research papers and stuff or video transcripts and write sales copy based on that. It's really got a lot of amazing use cases. So there you go. I hit that thing and now it's going to tell me like some more stuff. And this is another important thing. So like, I don't know if you've ever sat down to write a sales letter, but I always put it off to the last minute until I had this made. It's not fun to write sales copy because like we forget that, we're supposed to know this stuff. And then it's like you're staring at the blank page. With this, you can just answer the question. So this is software that's primarily going to be used by people who own businesses, most likely small business owners that handle their own marketing. It probably won't be used by giant companies. Professional copywriters will definitely use it because they're able to write a lot faster and they're able to write better copy, which means they can make more money from less work and have more clients. So yeah, people who own businesses and want to sell things, they're almost all internet based. So there we go. And they have tried AI software before, and they've probably been disappointed with it, and they don't enjoy writing copy, and they think it's hard, and that's because it is hard, so there's going to be a pretty high degree of skepticism, with the reader. I think it's important to do the talking part like this, because you don't censor yourself, like if I was trying to write that, I'd be like, well, does this sound right and all that, and you can just talk, and it understands what the hell you're saying, so you're able to stay in that creative mode, you know what I mean? Incidentally, the questions that this thing will ask you, they're not scripted. So it will dynamically change the questions that it's asking based on your answers and stuff. It's really cool. This is what makes it so much different than regular, the stuff you've tried before where you fill out little forms and, get a generic thing. Anyway, what's their biggest pain point or whatever? So yeah, they've tried other AI tools before, and what ends up happening is the stuff that it produces just looks obviously like it was written by AI, number one, so that kind of makes them look dumb and disingenuous a little bit, and nobody wants that. And also the sales copy that other tools have created for them, it just doesn't work. It doesn't convert people into customers, and they don't like that at all. So those are the big ones. And then there's going to be a belief that using AI is hard, and it requires you to know some sort of secret prompts or whatever, and that's not true, at least the case with our software, because you just talk to it. You don't have to prompt it at all. You just have a conversation like this. Now, this is a really important question. So a lot of times when I talk to people, they're like, man, my thing is new and I don't have like success stories yet. Or they think they have to have like this long, really cool origin story or whatever. And like, what if you don't have any of that stuff? You don't have to. You could just answer this question by going, I really just want to make the letter talk about how the software can help them. And I do have some testimonials that we can use. I don't want to talk about myself, and I don't want to use any sort of income claims or whatever. The goal of the sales letter is just to let people, just to get them to try the software for free, because once they try it, they can clearly see that it works and it basically sells itself. Now, once again, man, if we were trying to prompt this and like having to type it out, you and I both know it would suck. Because A, you're having to type stuff, and B, our brains work different when we're typing. It's like we go back to academic school mode or something. Okay, so it's going to ask me a lot more stuff, and I think I will just like not keep that in the video because it'll be boring. So I'll go ahead and answer this thing, and then we'll handle it in editing, unless I just forget to edit the video. You never know. But here we go. So there are a couple ways they could use the software for the first time. There are two main tools in it, and one's called Rewrite. So they could take some sales copy that they have that doesn't work, and they could paste it in the tool and say, just make this better, and it would. That's very self-explanatory, very easy. In fact, we don't even have instructions for the software because nobody ever really needs help with it. It's kind of awesome in that regard. And the second tool is one called Project Shepherd, and they would literally just tell it, I need help creating content for social media, for example. And that one simple sentence would begin the conversation, and the software would find out everything it needs to know about their expertise, their audience, what their messaging needs to be, and what they want to share, and then it would actually write the content for them. Same thing goes with writing sales copy. So it is literally, you log in, you choose a tool, and in the case of the Project Shepherd tool, you just say, I need help, and then you tell it what you need help creating, and it takes over from there. Oh, this is a cool question. Let's go ahead and get this one on film. Okay, so typically what happens is we have one or two of these scenarios. Scenario number one is the person has some copy already and it isn't working. So what they can expect is they can take the copy and they can give it to Ojoy and they can do one of two things. They can say, please rewrite this copy so that it works better, and it just will, and it'll convert better and it'll work better. Or they could give that copy to Ojoy and they could say, read all about my product here and find the most unique and cool stuff about it and come up with good marketing angles. And then they could completely rewrite that from scratch and have Ojoy do all of the heavy lifting for them. Or the second scenario is they don't have any copy at all because they hate writing it because it's not fun. They go from no copy, no content to easy copy, easy content done consistently. So those are your two kind of before and after type of scenarios that someone could reasonably expect. Okay, I'm going to answer this question, but I want you to know right now, if you're watching this video after April of 2025 and the price is higher, it's your own damn fault for not buying it, or at least trying it. All right, so right now, the software is $49 a month if they decide to keep it. And the money savings alone is ridiculous. If you were to hire a good copywriter, like one that actually can write good copy and deliver results, at bare minimum, you're going to be paying $10,000 to have the sales letter written. If you're doing it yourself, and even if you're very good at it, you're going to be saving hours, easily like 8 to 10 hours per sales letter. So instead of spending 8 hours on a sales letter, you might spend 45 minutes or something. So that time savings is extremely significant. And then they can expect their sales copy to work better than it did prior to using the software. So I don't want to make any sort of income claims, but I think it's extremely reasonable for someone to expect this software to be able to take their poorly converting copy and turn it into good copy very quickly and easily. There we go. Now, again, dude, I cannot stress this enough how important it is to just like talk to this thing and not try to prompt it. Because if I were to write that response, my brain would have gone into writing mode. I'd have been trying to like write it like it was real copy or something. It'd have been terrible. Now, this is a great question that it's asking me right here, and this is a question that I think you should write down if you're writing stuff for yourself or for anyone else, and that is to really understand who your market is and understand what their objections are and their fears are. So I'm not sure if they would necessarily have objections, but I think that they have residual hesitance because they've tried AI before and it didn't work. So there's so much hype around AI. They've seen all the hype around AI. They've tried all this stuff that's supposed to be amazing, and it just didn't really work out for them. So I don't know if we would call that an objection or just a general frame of mind, but that's who we're talking about. And then there could be an element where they've tried to write copy before, they failed miserably, or they tried to write content before and they failed miserably, and they have a strong sense of self-doubt about it. Like they think, oh, well, I'm just incapable of doing this. There's no hope for me. And this, of course, solves that problem because it's trained to write copy like a real marketer. But they've heard that before too. So that's kind of what we're dealing with. Again, dude, if I had to write that out, I wouldn't have been able to ramble. The rambling's important, man. You gotta let yourself be able to ramble if you want to make this stuff good. Now, even if you don't use the software, which if you don't, just put the crack pipe down for a minute. But even if you decide not to try this for free and use it, this is another really important thing to ask yourself when you're writing copy, which is like, what's the big thing that they're going to experience? Like what's the major benefit? And that's kind of what this is digging at, like what's their big aha moment? And here it is. When they realize that they can start with one sentence and end up with a complete sales letter without even having to type anything, and it can be done in a matter of minutes and maybe an hour at the most. When they actually experience that for themselves, they are completely hooked on it and they're very, very happy. And they have a great sense of relief because they're like, oh man, this huge problem, which I've had, which is, I can't write sales copy that actually converts, and if I can, it takes forever. That big constraint has been lifted. So it's like a lot of positive emotions all come associated with that. The removal of the fear, they have certainty now, and it's just freaking cool. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe this. This is amazing. Dude, I know I sound like a broken record, but again, the importance of being able to talk to these things. Huge. I wouldn't even be making this video for you. If I had to type all this stuff out, I wouldn't even be doing it. This is another great question that, regardless of whether or not you're using AI to write your copy, is to have these types of questions in mind for yourself when you're outlining stuff. And that is, what's the first tangible result someone could expect to achieve within whatever period? So we're doing Ojoy on a 7-day trial right now, and it's asking me, all right, what could happen? So I'll answer it. But regardless of whatever you're doing, that's a writer downer, because you want to be able to make real promises that are fulfillable, of course. But the more big promises you can make that are true, not exaggeration, not overhyped claims, but true things, then the more sales you're going to get. So within the first hour and a half at most of using the software, they can have a complete sales letter written. They can also have their entire social media content written for an entire month, all within the first hour or two of using it. So within a 7-day trial period, if they really wanted to put it to work and actually get as much out of this thing as they could write their sales letter for their website, they could write their social media content, they could write their email sequences, they could write LinkedIn articles, they could create a lead magnet, they could write a landing page, they could rewrite stuff that kind of works, and they could even analyze existing copy, have Ojoy find the hidden marketing angles in it and rewrite it and make it even better. So it could, I'm telling you this without exaggeration, they could have a completely new marketing system, all new messaging, all new social content, everything, all of them extremely important marketing stuff could literally be done and complete within 7 days. And that is a real promise. It is literally that fast. And the reason it's that fast is because it asks you questions and you can talk to it, and it understands how marketing works. So it can read your existing stuff, learn about your products, and actually write sales copy just based on the stuff you've already got. I know, broken record, dude, but if I had to type that, there's no way I would have gotten all of that out. You can hear the enthusiasm in my voice talking about it. If I was having to type it, I would just be I'd be typing as little as I had to, so I wouldn't have to deal with the time of typing. So this is another good question. If you write copy, you already know, it's good to paint a before and after picture and future pace people and let them understand what life will be like when they actually have the thing that they want. So I'll do that here. After using the software for a month, a couple of things will happen. Number one, they'll actually have copy. So the things that they've either been putting off because they didn't want to do it, or the copy that didn't work, now they will have sales copy that actually converts, and that's a really big deal because that obviously should be leading to more leads and more sales and everything. On top of that, if they choose, they can have their entire social media stuff done. Ojoy can write social posts, it can write video scripts, it can do all of these things for them. So the dread will be gone. The uncertainty will be gone. They will actually enjoy the process of creating content with Ojoy because it's fun and it's very addicting. They'll feel very confident. And they'll also probably feel pretty proud of having accomplished so much and finally, gotten everything done that they needed to do. Okay, awesome. That was actually super fast. So when you get to this little part right here where it says EOQ, this means okay, I'm done asking you stuff. I think I'm ready to go here. And it kind of gives us all of our key points and everything, and ask me if there's any other stuff I want to add, and I don't think so for now. Maybe during the rewrite process I will. So now I just kind of say, all right, cool, looks good. What should we do now? Now, I already know the answer to this question, but when you get here, it'll now ask you should we start writing the copy? And this is important, okay? Remember, I was here's what we do, all right? We get our rough draft done and we make sure it's got the fundamentals and we're following the basics, and we don't give a damn if the rough draft sounds cool or not, because we're going to get AI to rewrite our rough draft and make it sound cool and therefore save us a gazillion hours. So what this thing's going to do now is it's going to just write this thing piece by piece. And typically what it writes for you without you telling it how to write is going to be meh, and that's okay, because we're going to go back and we're going to use this little magic trick to make it write really, really cool. So all this sounds good, and I'll just say yes. And notice I've got a Google Doc open. So what I'm going to do, instead of you having to watch me do all this boring stuff, I'll actually type this for the sake of speed here, is I'm going to let it write each little section, and I'm just going to paste each section into the Google Doc. So we'll have the entire sales letter. This is actually pretty good. So the way you do that, by the way, is you just hit this little clipboard thingy, come over here, hit paste. All right. That's great. So I'll get rid of that. And now I'm just going to do the rest of the letter, but you don't want to watch me do that. Okay, so I don't know if you've noticed the timestamps on here, but it just wrote the whole thing in a matter of minutes, and I'm just pasting here. And it's pretty solid. Like the rough draft that it made, remember, we're just like burning through this thing, going fast, We've got a 4-page letter here, all right, not formatted or anything like that. And it's pretty damn good. So number one, yay, that's awesome. And it's followed a pretty solid framework here, which is just, here's what I got, here's what we'll do for you, here's what I want you to do next. And we're even empathize with them, hey, ever notice all these other things kind of suck and all that stuff? And the writing's actually pretty freaking good. Now, though, we can start tweaking it, all right? So first of all, I would actually test this because this letter's pretty good. I would get a headline, and we'll do that in a minute, but I want to show you something cool. So you can make it right like anybody you want to. Of course, you want to do what we talked about, though, right? Which is get the fundamentals done in your rough draft first. So one way you can make it right like you is this little trick, which is this. Okay, I want you to go back and review our entire conversation and take note of the way that I've been speaking to you. Look at the way I structure my sentences, pay attention to my vocabulary, my cadence, and use all of that to learn how to write like I talk. So go ahead and do that now and let me know if you're successful. So this is great because you can do that. You don't even have to do it with just sales letters and everything. You could do it with content or whatever. But one of the great ways to make stuff sound like it was actually written by you is to talk and then have it write the same way that you talk. And also, what's really cool about this is all of this is authentically real stuff because it's based on stuff I'm telling it. Whereas if you go and use ChatGPT or whatever, no offense to them, but it'll just make shit up, and this doesn't. And that's kind of good. We don't want it to make stuff up. So let's see here. All right. And so now I'm going to say yes to this. And we'll look at what we get here. Now, this is just the beginning of a rewrite thing. I'm just kind of showing you how it can change the style a little bit. And notice that this is now writing very colloquially and very conversationally, just like me. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes to the rest of it and make it write another version that sounds like me. No point in you having to watch me type the word yes a million times. Okay, so looking at the date stamps or the time stamps 401. So it's just blazing fast. All right, and it rewrote it now trained on the way I speak, not necessarily the way I write, but the way I speak. And we can tell that it's significantly different. And now we've got an entirely new sales letter here. And there's really no need for this thing to be a million miles long to get somebody to do a free trial. But we certainly could make it longer if we wanted to. But now let's mess around with it some more and make it even cooler. I like this, by the way. I'm just kind of going fast because I don't want to bore you, but this is a solid letter and it's written well. I mean, it kind of conveys the main benefits and the pain points beautifully. You probably tried AI tools before. We both know you probably have. They promise amazing stuff and it looks like AI. That sucks. And so you got to write this stuff, and that sucks, and it's not your fault. What if you could just talk? Now you can. And this is here's what I got, boom. And now, oops, got to get that little part out there. So this is now the here's what I got, and here we are into the here's what it will do for you stage. All right, and that's the benefits. All right, so here's all the cool stuff that this thing can do for you. It's really freaking awesome. And then we have the here's what I want you to do next. And in this case, which is pretty funny, it actually says, here's what I want you to do next, which is great. That's awesome. So go ahead and use it. And now we have our little call to action and stuff like that. So this is I might actually test this copy as is, but let's make this kind of crank it up a notch. All right. So One thing we could do is I could like give it samples of my sales letters and say, hey, make it write in this style and tone. I could do that. I could tell it to change the framework up a little bit if I wanted to. But I want to show you something that I think this will work with any AI that you choose. And this is ridiculously cool. So, okay, I want you to read the version that you just wrote, read that entire sales letter, and I want you to come up with 10 headlines for it. And I want you to use every bit of direct response knowledge marketing that you know when coming up with these headlines. I want the headlines to be very aggressive. I want them to like incite intense curiosity in the reader. I want them to like, if they were walking by the street and they were late to their child's birth, it would still stop them if they saw a poster that had that headline on it. I want it to be that attention grabbing. And I also want like a nice little sub headline that complements it as well. So I want you to give me 10 different ideas. Okay, now it's going to give me 10 headlines. They may be good, they may not be, but this little method here is more important than the headline part. These are actually pretty good. I don't like this one because I don't want to use an income claim. This is pretty cool right here. Actually, I love the do not use any of this until you see these. And then the strange conversation trick is excellent. That's really good. Fire your copywriter is that's another good one, actually. Yeah, so these two are super usable. Anyway, I'm going to like dork out on the headlines. Here's how we level this up. Now, you don't have to use like this extreme kind of stuff that I'm going to have it right. I just want to show you a trick, okay? So these are great. Now I want you to take these and make them even more outrageous, like super like clickbaity almost. Make it so that if the reader was literally on their way to get married and they were running late and they saw that headline, they would stop and they would read the headline. It needs to really grab their attention that much. Keep in mind, these people are used to hearing big promises. They're jaded, they're skeptical, they're frustrated. So we need to have all of that in mind. Use all of your power and give me 10 more examples that are even more hardcore. Here's what it wrote. Oh man, this is kind of funny. I kind of like it though. I mean, it's not really banned, but I like where it's going. It's doing exactly what I told it to. Secret recording. This would be great actually for like a webinar or something. That would be good. This is a good one. Especially for our industry, if I was writing this specifically and only for internet marketing folks, this is good too. This is really good. If you've been screwed by AI writing tools, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to pick one, all right? So I like this one out of like the first batch. I like this one. So I'm just going to tell it. Okay, I like this one. I know I could have typed that, but I said we weren't going to type, and I've already written the word yes like a few times, so I want to live up to my no typing promise. All right, so now it's going to like compliment me and be like, oh, you're a genius. Yeah, all right, thank you. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, now what I want to do is, knowing that we're going to use that headline and that subheadline, I want to adjust the beginning of the letter so that it naturally feels right from a style and tone perspective. I want that headline to flow perfectly with the very beginning of the letter. So go ahead and rewrite the beginning of the letter with the new headline and kind of make the writing of the letter match the style of the headline too. So now what this thing is going to do is it will go from writing, the way that I speak to now writing like a classic intense direct response method. And of course you don't have to do it like this, but dude, this is the kind of stuff that actually sells. And now we have a completely different style and tone here. And we've got a good headline and stuff too. So I'll copy that and I'll put our rough draft together. Okay, so I actually took a phone call too during that. So we're at 4:20. So yeah, 4:21 now. And I'm done. Now I forgot to do one thing, which is I I just assumed that they, knew, or that Ojoy would know that people would need a credit card to take a trial. So it does say no credit card required here. So I got two choices. I could be like, hey, go, change that, or I could just edit it in the draft. And I'm going to edit it in the draft because it's only like 2 spots, and that's it. That's all that I'm going to do to edit this thing. So let's have a look at this. And these little dashes are just where I was copying and pasting it, So like naturally I'd format it and everything like that, and add put bold and things. Sorry, I'm trying to talk and do stuff at the same time. But let's have a look at this sucker. Here's our headline. All right, so I would format this like a headline, and I got to be brutally honest with you. If you've been using AI tools right now, you're probably making your marketing worse, not better, and it's not even your fault. Dude, come on. It's just killer right here. This is beautiful for AI, especially no editing, no tweaking, nothing. So all I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to scan it. I won't make you watch me because that'll be boring. I'm just going to scan it and remove the part where it says no credit card needed, and just tell them that you can cancel by clicking a link in your account, which you can. And that's it. I consider this to be a finished sales letter. We could make it more hardcore if we wanted to. We could mess around with it. We could add stuff. We could change the way the thing flows and everything. But you get it, right? If you stick with this pattern of just making sure you get a rough draft that has the dang fundamentals and it's got the basics of your offer, and then you use AI to make it cool, you end up with a freaking good sales letter. And it only took however long it took to make this video and for me to take a phone call. And that's it. It was simple, right? Like no big deal. So use whatever tool you want to, but keep in mind those two, secrets there. Number one, here's what I got. Here's what it'll do for you. Here's what I want you to do next. It's never failed me personally. And then number two, don't try to make it fancy until you've gotten everything out and gotten your rough draft done. Then get AI to make it cool. And number three, for the love of God, dude, do you just not want to sell more stuff? Use Ojoy. Try it. It's a free trial. You could click, look, if this was me and I wanted to cancel, I would just click there and I would hit the cancel button. You don't have to call anybody. It's not a hard thing. So you have nothing to lose by trying this. But regardless, this will fix your wagon pretty good, as they say, in Harvard Medical School, which is where clearly I graduated from my cutting and pasting degree. All right, I don't know a cool way to end a YouTube video. Yes, I do. The double guns. Did it in the last couple videos. Everybody knew that was cool. Boom. Double guns for the end. All right, take it easy. Write good copy. Have yourself some fun. Sell more stuff. Make $1 or $2.